Now, page 4, the constitutional slapdown of a rogue body of Congress under impeachment. The framers of the Constitution infused checks and balances into the U.S. Constitution between the three branches of government, of course, Article 1, 2, and 3. But what about between the two bodies of Congress? What about a problem within the confines of the bicameral system? Well, some framers saw this one coming. For example, on impeachment, it's a simple majority to impeach in the House, a rather low threshold, right? And Alexander Hamilton was concerned about this. Hamilton predicted that the lower chamber would become weaponized based solely upon party politics and upon its majority. 232 years later, that's exactly what we have today in 2019. The Nancy Pelosi-led House of Representatives fully weaponized now in this attempt to impeach the 45th president based upon a conjured-up partisan narrative at which history, hopefully, will eventually laugh. However, in the Senate, the threshold for impeachment is 2/3 majority. The framers installing a near impossible requirement to remove a sitting president. And if we kind of read between the lines of this intra-congressional check and balance, it would also indicate that the Senate has the greatest job to do on impeachment. The upper chamber must hold the lower chamber accountable when the lower chamber goes rogue. This is the internal check and balance on Congress itself. And it needs to be acted upon by the leadership in the United States Senate. The leadership right now, Mitch McConnell. Thus, in 2019, in order to attempt to put the impeachment genie back into its constitutional bottle, the U.S. Senate is obligated to scold, at the very least, the House of Representatives for weaponizing itself over impeachment for purely political reasons. In other words, the Senate must attempt to slap some sense into the rogue 116th House of Representatives, which is being governed by constitutional nutcases, truly, constitutional nutcases, like the congressman from Texas, Al Green.
What subliminal message are we sending to the world when we have experts but not one person of color? Are we saying that there are no...
Stop it, Dave. So this man is now foisting racism and racialism into impeachment. Doesn't he have anything better to do? There's a lot going on in Texas that he could be doing for his constituents, don't you think? For example, he's not on the border. His district's not on the border. I believe it's just outside of Houston and probably encompasses a little bit of Houston. But still, there's a little bit of an issue of border security in Texas. Maybe Al Green could be focusing on helping protect the southern border between Texas and Mexico. I don't know. It's just a crazy thought. Instead, he's focused on this crazy, made-up notion that there's some sort of racism involved in the prosecution in the House of Representatives of impeachment against the 45th President of the United States. And so now he's worried about how this looks on the global stage. There's some kind of message it's sending to other countries. Well, here's what I worry about, Congressman Green, Al. I worry about what impeachment is sending to our adversaries overseas. Is it sending a message of weakness? I don't believe it is, but you never know. You've got some crazy people out there. You've got the Taliban. You've got the Islamic State. You've got Kim Jong-un. Of course, China is our adversary. Who knows? Cuba's been so quiet. Who knows what they're working on these days? What kind of a message is impeaching an innocent man sending to our adversaries? This is what I worry about. And this is why it's so important for Mitch McConnell to understand his place in history. Mitch McConnell just filed papers to run again in Kentucky, right? He's been elected 6 times. He's the poster child for term limits in the United States Senate. He wants a 7th term, a 7th 6-year term in the Senate. He'll be 900 years old. And if he had it his way, of course, he'll be still the leader. He doesn't care. See, Mitch McConnell doesn't care whether he's majority leader or minority leader. It doesn't bother him. He's still in the leadership role. He can still call the shots among his caucus. That's all Mitch McConnell cares about. He doesn't understand. I firmly believe if he does understand, he's ignoring it. He either doesn't understand or he's ignoring his place in history. This is a crucial moment in time, not just about defending the 45th president against made-up fantasy charges, but about defending the Article II branch of government, the office of the presidency. He's got to stand up for the Article II branch. He's got to stand up for the impeachment clauses in the United States Constitution, and he's got to stand up for the Constitution itself. And coming out and saying that we're going to hold a short trial, get this thing over with, and call no witnesses, no new evidence, apparently. If you're not calling new witnesses, how can you infuse new evidence? If he stands by this, it's a huge mistake, and it will go down in the annals of history as a huge tactical error, not just for defending the president, but defending the United States Constitution and defending this republic. We have got to hear from the people who are accusing the president. The Democrats did not allow this to happen in the House of Representatives. The Senate, as set up by the framers of the Constitution, has got to be the great constitutional equalizer here. It's got to send a message to people like Al Green and Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi that, hey, we're the big boys in the room here. We're not going to let you get away with this. The Democrats argue if we don't hold the president accountable, he'll do this over again, or maybe a future president will do this over again. I'm worried about the Congress. I'm worried about the Senate not doing its job in slapping down the lower body, the lower chamber in Congress. Because if Mitch McConnell does not rise to this occasion, then it will happen again. So Al Green's the poster child for a lot of hyper-constitutional things, including this much-needed congressional slapdown by the U.S. Senate. It's not going to change him. It's not going to stop him from being a lunatic. However, it would put Green and Max Watt and the rest of them in their constitutional place, which hopefully, ultimately, will be nothing more than an amusing footnote in history.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.